What is up, F and true followers, wrestling fans, and members of the YWC? JC Styles.
And Brian Crazy.
And we are here with the Blast from the Past Super Smackdown Live. Smackdown went off the air just moments ago, and it was a pretty good show. We had Hall of Famers such as Gene Okerlund, Howard Finkel, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. We even saw Sergeant Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Even at the end of the show, we saw Ted DiBiase and numerous other legends. Now, I was kind of thinking that maybe because it's a whole super Blast from the Past Smackdown, they would have brought back maybe an old school Smackdown ring, old school Smackdown entrance set. Just a little something different. But we didn't see that. It was the typical WWE stage like they always do. Huge LED boards and everything, and pyro galore.
Absolutely beautiful presentation, though, you do have to say. I mean, Vince McMahon and the WWE have taken professional wrestling to new heights.
Yes.
And before we even start off this review, first things first, we are Brian Crazy and JC Styles. We are the F brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com. Thanks for tuning in once again. And like JC said, we are back with this Super Smackdown review. But on last night's Monday Night Raw review, we had a few people out there that questioned really what the F brand of wrestling and entertainment is all about. And I just want to clear this up. I don't want to dwell on this. I don't want to turn this into a rant video. But basically it's this. We've been on YouTube for close to 2 years. Our views on professional wrestling have evolved. We look at it from a fan's perspective, and we also look at it from the perspective of a business standpoint, if we were involved in the business. And the facts are this. We might not like every character that the WWE, TNA Wrestling, independent promotions put out, but we respect these athletes because at the end of the day, they go out there and they put their necks on the line. Just a few months ago, a young athlete by the name of Jesse Sorensen almost ended up paralyzed for the rest of his life. That is a perfect example. Second thing is, we don't needlessly bash things. We enjoy the current product. We think they're doing a good job. Yes, we point out if we'd like to see things differently, and JC is very vocal, and when I see something that I would like to see different, I say it. I point different angles they can do. I look at things from both sides. I always argue both sides. JC's known me since I was a little kid, just like I've known him since he was a little kid. And what's the one thing I've always done? I always look at both sides of the picture. You know, because I always like to go into a situation knowing what's going on. But we're not to dwell on that. Basically, that is the mission of the F brand. We are going to tell you our views, but at the end of the day, we're not going to sit here and needlessly bash because it's going to make us popular or something. That's not what we're here for. We're here to be wrestling reporters and give you our views. So let's get into Smackdown.
Before we just get into it, I mean, like you said, you know, we don't bash. We don't. If we see something that we dislike and we want to see something different, we're going to call on it. But a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, well, why do you label your reviews when you're just recapping the show?" The reason why we do this particular format is because there may be a lot of people out there, you know, it's a Monday night, they might have plans out with the family or might just be getting home late and didn't get, maybe caught the last 15 to 20 minutes of Raw.
And also a very good point, not to interrupt you, is we have a lot of international viewers that appreciate that we're able to give recaps. And if you watch the shows, especially the ones that me and JC Styles provide, and you actually sit down and listen word for word to what we have to say, not only do we talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw, we talk about what we thought what happened on Monday Night Raw, and I think that would thus make it a review.
Yes.
But
I mean,
this wasn't supposed to be a rant. I didn't want to turn this into a rant, but I just wanted to get this off my chest and really we picked up so much momentum at WrestleMania. We thank you fans and subscribers so much. The guys that were with us from the beginning, the new guys that just joined us. But at the end of the day, I do have to say that, I guess that's what I have to say.
WTF. Put it nicely. Well, I want to say this last thing, and then we'll move on to the Smackdown review. You know, this has been our format for the last year and a half. When we first started F and True Wrestling, we had a little bit of a rougher shoot type base style videos, but when we adapted to this particular format, we started losing some of the viewers because they didn't like the way they thought that they liked our reviews when we just sat down in front of the camera, no script, and just talked about the show. But that only gets you so far and noticed so much, and then you gotta
exactly the typical shooter you find here on the YWC. I'm not trying to stereotype or put people into a group, but I feel that the YWC is very easy to come out here and bash the current product. They're easy to bash everything. They don't respect the athletes. And us here at F and True Wrestling and the F and brand of wrestling and entertainment, not to give us a cheap plug, but I just did, believe in something a little bit different. We want to give you a different take on professional wrestling, and a lot of our fans out there have embraced us. Thank you. And now what you have tuned in for, and I'll make sure I leave a little annotation at the beginning of this video, even though you won't be seeing what I'm saying until now. So but start the video off now if you just want to see the Smackdown review. If that's all you have time for.
We start off the show. We see video package from last week. Daniel Bryan, excuse the noise. It is a plane flying overhead. It happens at night, during the day, whatever have you. We see Daniel Bryan breaking up with AJ from last Friday night on Smackdown. We then see Michael Cole plugs Piper's Pit with Daniel Bryan and Roddy Piper. For later tonight, Lillian Garcia introduces Mean Gene Okerlund, and Mean Gene introduces the World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus and cuts an interview. Then in this interview, we basically see, well, it wasn't really more of an interview, it was more of just a segment of Sheamus came out and says that he apologizes for what he did last week, and that there's always the word that goes around in the wrestling business is honor, and he feels like his actions last week, he dishonored the business by attacking one of the referees who made a judgment call based on what he saw with his own 2 eyes. We saw him hit the referee with the bro kick. Then Johnny Ace comes out and basically sticks his nose in it and just basically says, you know, I want to hear you apologize. And he's like, well, what do you think I've been doing out here for 15 minutes? For 5 minutes, been apologizing. And then John Laurinaitis has to take it one step further and say, you got to do it better.
Exactly. He makes him apologize better, and he also lays down a record $500,000 fine in the storylines, but never in the storyline has a superstar been fined $500,000. Also, a huge match for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view has been made. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the World's Heavyweight title, a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Basically, John Laurinaitis wants him to apologize better, like JC Styles said. And to further on, basically the whole sense of this promo and the whole direction it was taking, Sheamus really has changed his character around. He came into the WWE as a brute, and then he admitted that growing up he was bullied. Well, in the storylines, he was bullied, this, that, and the other, which I even believe that from the whole Be a Star lines that there is some truth in that he was bullied when he was young or whatever have you, but that's not what we're here debating. But basically, there's a lot of controversy surrounding how he won the title, and now the thing with the referee, this, that, and the other. But let's keep this rolling.
Yeah, we see Orton backstage, and his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, comes walking in, says, good luck in your match tonight. Mark Henry has been on a supreme roll as of late. Watch yourself. We see the two hug each other, and then the next time we would see Cowboy Bob Orton is at the end of this match, who was basically attacked by Kane. Before we get to that moment, we have Mark Henry and Randy Orton get in the ring and basically fight it out. You know, these guys are all over the ring, and then Kane shows up on the Titantron and says, you know, basically says some stuff and basically just turns around and says, hey, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Kane pops up on the Titantron. He distracts Randy Orton. You see Cowboy Bob Orton laid out. Randy Orton immediately leaves the ringside area and goes and finds his father. He finds his father laid out, and this is when Randy Orton is also attacked by the Big Red Machine, Kane. This pretty much closes out the segment, and then we go into the next match, which is Benny Carter.
Some kid named Benny from Chicago, Illinois, versus Ryback. Now, this was just a 1, 2, 3. I mean, a clothesline. It's this basically this running fisherman, sideways fisherman buster, and just picks up the win. We see some of the legends backstage, you know, putting bets on this match, and we see Tony Atlas says, I got money on the little kid.
We've seen a lot of those video packages lately where people are backstage watching these matches. It's kind of interesting, and you can show a couple little clips, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they should be going every 10 to 15 seconds to the backstage area, showing the reaction of the superstars, because it's taking away from the match. And a match like this, I'm glad that this young kid got a chance, and WWE and a lot of professional wrestling promotions used to use this same approach to put a jobber in the ring to push a new star. But there's so much more that Ryback, Skip Sheffield could be doing. And also, this is my question, has the WWE put out too many stars at once? We have Lord Tensai, the returning Albert. We have Brock Lesnar, who's going to overshadow everybody just because of his accolades in the business and his stature in the business. Then we've got, who else? We've got the newer guy, Damian Sandow, if I'm not mistaken.
Which he cut a promo last Friday night, and tonight, which was almost like a video tryout tape, like an audition tape, and just cut a killer promo.
Oh, and the man has a lot of class. He's very, very intelligent. You can tell. And then we also have Sheffield coming back. So I mean, there's a lot of people. I just hope too many people don't get lost in the mix.
I don't know if it's just me, but I really don't see the whole Ryback character getting over at all. I mean, you see the crowd when he came out, when he debuted last week. It really didn't get any kind of pop. And then tonight again, he just came out.
Because if they put him against the right people, I could see him becoming a solid character. I could see Ryback becoming one of the top baby faces in the WWE. Maybe, like you said, maybe not as Ryback, but maybe again as Skip Sheffield. But even as Ryback, if built properly and if pushed properly and booked properly, I could see it happening.
Yes.
But putting him against no-name jobbers, I mean, it's great that the kid got some exposure on TV, but other than that, I don't think it's doing that much for Ryback. Like you said, the crowd is not feeding into it.
Well, I mean, it's been like this for years. I remember tuning into a Saturday Morning Superstars, and we saw guys like Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, who were just breaking into the business, being whooping boys for guys like Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid, and Diesel, Shawn Michaels, and so many others.
How many squash matches have you really seen on Monday Night Raw in recent memory? Like, usually we'd see maybe a local talent on Smackdown or Superstars, like
exactly.
But on a big, high-profile show like this, I was just kind of curious. Why not put him in the ring against the likes of a McIntyre or a Riley?
Exactly, somewhere where we could see an actual good match and see his actual in-ring performance.
Sheffield is an incredible talent. I just can't wait to see what he can do.
Yes. We see Ryback pick up the win, then we go to a backstage segment with Tyson Kidd and Heath Slater talking about their tag team match with the Usos. And basically Slater says he has found them a Hall of Fame manager, and in comes walking Jimmy Hart. We then come back from a commercial break and we see the two teams getting ready to set off with Mick Foley sitting at commentator's table. And we see during the match really wasn't focused on the Usos or Kidd and Slater. It was more focused on Mick Foley out at commentary and Jimmy Hart outside the ring managing,
interacting with
Mick Foley,
and the competitors in the ring. And like JC said, it kind of took away from the match, which we could have saw more, and we would have liked to see more as wrestling fans. But for telling a story, it told an okay story. Don't get me wrong. The winner of the match are the Usos. Then we get after the match, the Usos leave as Hart gets into the ring to check on Slater. Foley puts Sacco on Jimmy Hart, and down he goes. Foley takes the megaphone and says something is about a mistake.
Yes. Then we go into more hype for the main event, which is Piper's Pit and Daniel Bryan. We come back from commercial. Hot Rod comes walking out, gets a really good pop from the crowd, and I remember tuning in. Well, I don't really remember tuning in because as I started getting into watching wrestling when I was a kid, they were bleeding out the Piper's Pit, so they really weren't as on TV anymore. I mean, occasionally they were on like Friday night's main event or Saturday night's main event here and there throughout the early 90s, but basically has Daniel Bryan come out and runs him down about being an 18-second loser, how he lost to everything. He dumped his girlfriend in front of the whole WWE universe and the thousands watching at home. Then basically calls out AJ Lee. AJ Lee goes on and says that Daniel is really a really good person deep down. He doesn't want to let anyone know this. And then Piper lays into AJ about how the guy who dumped you and said that you're nothing, who treated you as a human shield, who treated you as a nobody, and basically blames you for him losing the World Heavyweight title, and you say deep down he's a nice person. We see this confrontation escalate a little bit further, and as we see Daniel Bryan just basically slap Piper and walk out of the ring.
Exactly. I could not have said it better. This is pretty much how the situation ends. I believe Daniel Bryan gets a shot in on Roddy Piper and then leaves the ring really quickly to end the segment, if I'm not mistaken. And then we go into more hype for the tag team main event before going to a commercial break. We come back from the commercial break and we see the Great Khali teaming with Natalya and Alicia Fox to go against the Bella Twins and Drew McIntyre. all 6 participants in the ring when we come back from break.
1 or 2 minute match, not even.
It was a pretty short match. Khali and Drew start things out. Khali overpowers him quickly, and Drew leaves the match, screaming that he's better than this. This is after attacking one of the Bellas. Alicia goes at it with one of the Bellas and hits a bridge suplex with a quick win. The great Khali, Alicia Fox, and Natalya are your winners. It's nice to see Natalya on the face team.
Yes.
I wonder if this is going to set up an eventual feud between Natalya and Beth Phoenix. It's been a long time coming, and I want to see it happen.
It should have been at WrestleMania for the Divas Championship. You guys, if you haven't known this, go back and watch our predictions, watch our epic WrestleMania discussion about the Divas match that was booked for WrestleMania, and you know my feelings on that. Don't get me wrong, not to take anything away from Kelly, Maria Menounos, Eve, and Beth, but it would have been better if it was a fatal 4-way for the Divas Championship.
It definitely would have been different. We would have saw a different match, and it would have been very interesting. Basically, Khali dances up the ramp with Alicia and Natalya. They stop, and out comes Hall of Famer Mae Young. Khali kneels down and gets a kiss from Mae Young. We come back from break, and we get another vignette from Damian Sandow, like we were mentioning earlier tonight. He's talking about sophistication during this vignette. He insults people for using social media, but says he will be the beacon of light that they need. We see footage recapping Kane, Randy Orton, and the Bob Orton situation from earlier in the night, and then we get the Raw rebound, showing the situation between Brock Lesnar and John Cena from last night, where John Cena smacked Brock Lesnar, where Brock Lesnar ended up taking him down with that hard shoot-style MMA takedown and clocking him right in the mouth, bloodying John Cena.
Yeah, then we move into the backstage segment with Mean Gene. Talks about how if they lose tonight or if they win, the first pint's going to be on Sheamus. And he talks about, what do you mean if we survive? They build this up more for later in the night for the tag team main event that they have booked. Then we go into a one-on-one match. We saw Hacksaw Jim Duggan take on Hunico, and basically this match started off, and then not even moments later, Camacho sticks his nose in the match, and basically we see this match thrown out. We then see...
Well, that's after Sergeant Slaughter came down. He threw the 2x4 to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That's when Hacksaw Jim Duggan made contact with the 2x4 to both of those competitors, Hunico and Camacho. That's when the match was thrown out. And basically, that's the end of the segment. I mean, there's not too much else to talk about there. Then we go into Cody Rhodes and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Dream is talking to Rhodes, saying he is one of the most talented wrestlers to come into the WWE in recent time. Exactly. And then out comes the Big Show, who shows an embarrassing moment. It is a dashing Cody Rhodes moment when he's putting on some male lip gloss in the...
You know, I'm not going to take anything away from Cody Rhodes' sadistic side that he did when he had the plastic face guard on, and when he was coming out and he had that face guard off, and then he just had the hood over his face all the time. I actually preferred the dashing character. I thought it was very entertaining with the different types of grooming tips that he had.
Well, Cody Rhodes has been a really interesting character in the WWE. Not to dwell on it, because I'm sure we're running out of time. We're kind of limited on this particular piece of equipment we're using today. But Cody Rhodes started off as the legacy character, then the dashing character. Then we saw him become the crazed character. That's actually what propelled him to the heights of capturing the Intercontinental title.
Exactly.
Then we saw him become sort of normal once again. For a couple weeks there, he almost kind of looked like a Randy Orton clone.
Yeah.
I mean, real dark tan, the baby oil going on. And then he kind of merged into his current character, which he's been very successful at.
Yeah.
I like all the different incarnations, but basically this was one of the more embarrassing dashing Rhodes moments. Let's go into the main event of the night.
Yeah, the tag team main event. We see Daniel Bryan and Alberto Del Rio take on Gene Okerlund and the Great White World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus. Now, this was an overall, really wasn't a match. We basically saw halfway through the match, we saw Sheamus bump into Gene Okerlund, which made Okerlund the legal man. And basically we see Ricardo, Alberto, and Daniel Bryan surround Mean Gene. Then we see all the legends come pouring out. We see Ted DiBiase. We see Tony Atlas. We see numerous other stars come running out. We see, basically, with the distraction of the legends on Daniel Bryan, Sheamus hits the Brogue Kick and picks up the win for his team. Post-match, we see Michael Cole get in the ring and want to go for a photo op, and all the legends basically gang up on Michael Cole.
Exactly. This is pretty much after all those legends ganged up on Ricardo Rodriguez. it was a great night for nostalgia factor. Like JC said at the start of this video, when you hear old school SmackDown, you're kind of expecting SmackDown started in the Attitude Era. But what it was is it was a blast from the past.
Yes.
It was the current generation of stars with a blast from the past with the stars of the previous generation.
Exactly.
And it was a great night for nostalgic factor. Could we have seen the match finishes a little bit different? Yes. But at the end of the day, as wrestling fans and as fans of the WWE, I know I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy the show?
I enjoyed it in the nostalgic factor. It was kind of cool. I know what. I sat there and I was listening to Dusty Rhodes speak, and I was like, can you imagine if Dusty Rhodes was a pimp? Because he's just got that smooth, slick daddy talk, and it's just amazing. And
the way Dusty Rhodes can cut a promo with all those guys that were out there tonight, just the way that they can all just still perform at top-notch level.
Yes. So, guys, overall, we really enjoyed the Blast from the Past SmackDown Super Show live. Anything else, we'll be providing you numerous updates throughout the week. Injury updates, if there's any. Pay-per-view updates, match added to the Extreme Rules.
Any news, reviews, updates, predictions, previews, anything that we feel that you guys need to know or we would like to provide you guys with, we will get up on our channels.
Yes.
Thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for checking out the Effin' Brand of Wrestling and Entertainment here on YouTube.com. My name is Brian Crazy.
JC Styles.
Please check out the official website of the Effin' Brand at www.fightnationwrestling.com. Please follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/EffinTrueWrestling. Please follow us on Twitter. We will provide those links below. Please also follow all the channels that make up the Effin' Brand. The channel you're currently watching this video on, Effin' True Wrestling, Effin' True Entertainment, the Effin' True Click, where us and members of the Click will produce wrestling roundtable discussions in the future, and my new channel, Fight Nation Wrestling, where Brian Crazy will produce videos. So please check out all those channels and subscribe and check them out for future content. Have a great night.
Have a safe early morning commute.
Exactly.
And we'll see you back later in the week for our TNA Lockdown predictions.
Sounds good. And I'll be back Thursday night with a TNA Impact review. Have a great night. Catch you later.